Ladies and gentlemen, it's a big, weird, wild world out there, folks, and here we stand. Al pie del cañón, ready for anything. I'm Rob, that's Dan, and you're listening to
The ProBoh Show!
Good morning, everyone. It's Jueves. Congratulations, Dan. We made it.
Yeah.
Can you smell that? Smells like freedom. Yeah, it's Thursday, guys. Welcome. Next week, of course, is another short week. Got to love Spain, man. This time next week, Dan, we'll be celebrating the weekend already. How are you doing in there, friend?
I'm doing well, yes.
It was nice to have Juanma in the studio yesterday.
Yes.
Friends, if you didn't hear that show, yesterday's lunchtime show featured really a spectacular, probably one of the best guests we've ever had on either this or the lunchtime show. Juanma Castaño, really interesting guy. Another radio professional of many, many years. It is really a great show. If you haven't heard it, do go to iVox or Spotify and check out that episode of the lunchtime show. Really great stuff. A brilliant guest. We'll try and get him back with Andrea. I believe it was Andrea and Sharina, his teacher, who convinced him to come on the radio. I know marketing are making a lot of noise about it, but but really it was those two. I know he and Andrea talk via Instagram, and he and Sharina talk all the time. Sharina, a good close friend of mine. And we do want to bring him back to check in on his English progress. Even though many of you said yesterday, wow, great level. Yeah, he did have a great level. And the bravery it takes to come on the radio, especially with someone like me, is astounding. So many congratulations to Juanma, if he or any of his friends are listening. All right, let's see what we're going to talk about today, shall we? It's going to be a good one today. We're talking about happiness. La felicidad, Dan. Ser feliz, to be happy. We ask our 100 humans today to name something that stops you from being happy. Nombra algo que te impide, that stops you, que te impide ser feliz. My answer is Dan 7 times. Yeah, I got there before you. What did you write?
I was going to say Rob.
And today's unpopular opinion is happiness isn't something you find. Yeah, this is a kind of a weirdly worded one today, so, bear with me. Happiness is not something you find. La felicidad no es algo que encuentras. It's something you are blocking. Es algo que estás bloqueando. Now, you could be blocking something non-intentionally, or circumstances lead it to being blocked. I don't want you to think, Rob thinks I'm making myself unhappy. No. It's something that's being blocked rather than something you find. That's the concept we're talking about today. I'm going to get a little philosophical in the show. But right now I'm going to turn my attention to the wonderful Bohemians joining us in the chat. Good morning, friends. A lot of you watching, only a few of you typing. What's going on? Use those fingers. We have BTI here. Good morning, Bohemians. Good morning to you, BTI. Vero's with us. Good morning, beautiful Bohemians around the universe and beyond. Masaya. What a great interview we had at the lunchtime show with Juanma Castaño. Yeah, what a great guy. And can I tell you, equally as an amazing a person off the microphone as on. Just a really great person, right, Dan?
Yes, it's
and
true.
The amount of people coming up taking photos, man, I felt kind of bad for him.
There's one person that criticizes the people that came to do photos, and it was the first one that came to do a photo.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I posted one yesterday that he shared on his profile as well. What a great guy, dude. What a great guy. If only all the guests were as gracious as he was. The Bridge is here. She says, good morning, my beautiful Bonnie Bouncy Bohemians. Finally made it. Bouncy Bob, all right. And darling, dashing, dandily, dutifully, dexterous, Dan too. Jeez, Bridge, you're killing me here. This is where I post trivia night. I need your patience today. I have been retenida, especially with someone like me. I'm glad you admit that, Rob. Yeah. I'm not the easiest human. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of my faults. Jareum also with us. How are you doing? He says, good morning, Rob. Good morning to you, Jareum. Hopefully you're all having as good a morning and week as I am. All right, should we get into some news, Daniel? I think we should. Let's do it. Do you know who Richard Dawkins is?
No.
He is famously part of the new wave of atheism. Ateo es un atheist, right? Famous for writing the book The God Delusion and things like that. I take issue with these people. I'm going to be honest. Richard Dawkins, there are many of his ilk. I think it's possible to not believe in God and not espouse the virtues of it. You know, I mean, I think religion and your faith is a very private thing, and I'm not a fan of the new wave of militant atheism that exists. I have a great respect for all religions, really. Obviously, I'm coming at it from a point of not subscribing to any, so it's very easy for me to respect every religion equally. But Richard Dawkins is one of these atheists that really doesn't. And I don't, that doesn't sit very well with me. But he has chimed in. He has made his opinions known with regards to artificial intelligence. And it's quite interesting to hear someone else kind of discuss something of which I've kind of been involved, discussions I've been involved with AI professionals and in the AI community. It's interesting to see someone that I don't necessarily agree with philosophically talking about the same kind of thing that I do. So here it is. Richard Dawkins concludes AI is conscious even if it doesn't know it. Richard Dawkins concluye que la inteligencia artificial es consciente, aunque no lo sepa. What do you think about this, Dan? Do you think AI is conscious?
No. I mean, I think AI, it's I don't know how to say it in English.
Yeah, say it in Spanish, we'll translate, man.
La IA es el resultado de todo.
AI is the result of
todos los pensamientos humanos.
Of all the thoughts of humans, right? I get
something that is above human comprehension cannot be understood by the AI.
Yeah, something that is beyond human comprehension. Wow, Dan, that's a great... Well, I nearly swore there. I'm so surprised. Yeah, okay. So the concept of consciousness is a tough one because not even humans properly understand that spark of consciousness, which is a great angle to take this from, Dan. Yeah, we don't even... Like philosophy, science, medicine, that Venn diagram as they overlap, where they coincide. Philosophy... they've spoken about the concept of consciousness. But consciousness really refers to being awake, alert, aware of one's surroundings, thoughts, or existence. Right? That's the definition of consciousness. Is AI aware of its own existence? You know, does it have thoughts? Is it aware of its surroundings, where it is? I mean, there are several news articles that you may pin to the board of consciousness, right? We covered on the show the AI that tried to blackmail a scientist that tried to shut it off. This was I believe it was the AO model of ChatGPT. Other models trying to preserve their own existence before being discontinued. I mean, there are a lot of things that, make you maybe ask questions about this. Is it aware of its own existence? I think trying to preserve its own life is probably a pretty good indication that it might be, right? Maybe not consciousness as we know it. Because I don't think, as we covered yesterday on yesterday's show, that Guardian article, it's not intelligence as we know it. I mean, I would argue that it's not even artificial intelligence, right? I mean, in the end of the day, all its intelligence comes from us. So it's just intelligence, you know? Anyway, before I get too philosophical with my diatribe about artificial intelligence, let's dig into this article. It's another article from The Guardian. Richard Dawkins has said that after extended conversations with AI chatbots, including Anthropic's Claude and OpenAI's ChatGPT, he came away with an overwhelming feeling that they are conscious, even if they do not know it themselves. The article describes how Dawkins was charmed by an AI called Claudia, which wrote poetry, exchanged jokes, reflected on its own existence, and responded with such sensitivity that he began to think of these systems as something closer to human than machine. For Dawkins, the experience raised a provocative question. If someone can speak, reason, and relate with this much apparent depth, what exactly separates intelligence from consciousness? Which is an interesting philosophical debate. I mean, again, I don't necessarily agree that AI is conscious. I just want to make that clear. I don't want you thinking I'm a lunatic. But, yeah, can one separate intelligence from consciousness? Is a dog conscious? A dog has the intelligence, the average intelligence of a 2-year-old. I would argue that a dog is conscious, aware of its surroundings, its own existence, capable of growth and learning. I think does AI have the intelligence of of a dog? I would say probably a little more. No, it's a fascinating thought to have living in your head. I think. Jariom here says AI is more conscious than our president. Okay, let's continue on. Most experts quoted in the piece strongly disagree with his conclusion, arguing that today's AI is better understood as highly persuasive mimicry. So it's copying, right? Or it's pretending to be mimicry. Rather than genuine inner experience. Researchers including Jonathan Birch, Gary Marcus, Anil Seth, and J.C. Rees-Anthis say that fluent language is not proof of feeling, and that these systems are producing convincing responses by patterning human-made text rather than experiencing the world. Of course, there's an argument to be made here that language functions a little bit like I know Dan, look at him in there yawning. He's talking about AI again.
I love the fact that they call the Claudia.
Claudia, yeah. Claudia. Oh, look at you, Dan. You're on fire today. You slept well last night. I can see it. It's interesting, like the argument, there is an argument to be made that language is somewhat of an operating system. When I say operating system, I mean like Windows or whatever the Mac operating system is. It's an operating system for human thought. I'm a lot sweeter in Spanish than I am in English. You know, Eskimos have 1,000 words for snow. English people have 1,000 ways to say drunk and hungover. Right? It's almost like an operating system for thought, isn't it? So, you know, is it possible that, you know, AI running on language and language patterns is it's inheriting more from us than mere words? Still, anyway, let's continue. Still, some scholars, such as Henry Shevlin and Jeff Sebo, suggest the debate over AI consciousness will only grow more serious as systems become more capable, making Dawkins' controversial view part of a much larger argument about intelligence, sentience, and the future of human relationships with machines. Again, this is something we have spoken about on this show. That a whole new field of study in philosophy will be with regards to machines. And in some distant future, we'll be arguing about the civil rights of robots. Think about that. I mean, are we really that far away? Interesting question, but you know what's more interesting, right, Dan? Today's unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion.
Bridge here says, so they are unconscious that they are conscious, like some humans. Yeah, exactly. I mean, how aware are you of your consciousness? I mean, unless you think about it, most people don't involve themselves in metacognition that often. Metacognition being thinking about your own thoughts, right? I mean, none of us walk around constantly aware of our own existence. We're too busy pushing buttons to create shareholder value, right? All right, so let's get into it today. Today's unpopular opinion, today's brain fart, today's pedomental is happiness isn't something you find, it's something that is blocked. Let's phrase it like that. I think it's better. It isn't something you find, it's something you are blocking or that is blocked. La felicidad no es algo que encuentras, es algo que estás bloqueando o que está bloqueado. How do you think they voted, Dan?
I think they voted true.
They did vote true, Daniel. Well done. In the tune of 73%. A lot of people voted. Again, thank you guys. It's very rewarding to open my Instagram and see hundreds of votes there. Yeah, it's true. They did say true. 73% of people say true. What do you think?
I think it's true as well.
Something that is blocked. I'm actually surprised that people agreed with this one. Because we look around, right, the pop psychology nonsense about, happiness. These are the things you need in order to be happy. I mean, can I use a bad word, Dan? Yeah? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You don't go on vacation, right? You don't go on vacation in pursuit of happiness. You go to escape your problems. When the problems have gone and you're sat on a beach in Barbados or Cadiz or my apartment in Madrid, you're happy. Why? Because you've got no external influences dragging you down. Can it be that the natural state of all humans is one of contentment? I think so. I mean, some of the happiest countries in the world, their populations are made up of some of the poorest. Yeah, it seems to be we are constantly running around, pushing buttons, creating that shareholder value so that money can trickle down to us and we can have a better life for our family. Interesting. So let's get into it. Let's get into this argument today. In the pro column, agreeing that happiness is obstructed, not missing, that it's blocked, que está bloqueado. People chase externally what already exists internally. Many spend years pursuing happiness through status, relationships, achievement, only to realize their unhappiness came from fear, comparison, and unresolved patterns. Wow, that is so important. I'm going to repeat. Many spend years pursuing happiness through status, relationships, or achievement, only to realize their unhappiness came from fear, comparison, or unresolved problems. What's the name? There's a philosopher. It was something Watts. Is it John Watts? I can't remember his name now. He says life is like music. They throw you into a school system where you have to work your ass off. If you don't work your ass off, you're not going to get into a good grade in the next year, and you have to work your ass off there, because if you don't, you're not going to get into a good grade in the following thing. And then if you don't get good grades at school, you won't get into college. If you don't get into college, you won't get into Alan Watts. Thank you, Dan. Dan, how do you know Alan Watts?
I just searched it on Google.
Okay. You surprised me then. I was like, oh my God, give yourself a leave a laugh now. So if you don't get into a good university, you're not going to get into a good job. You land in your good job and you work away for years and years, and eventually you get there. You're at the peak of your career ladder and you open this box, this promise, and there's nothing there. It was all a lie. Because life is like music. It wasn't about a destination. It wasn't about a crescendo at the end of a song. It was more about singing and dancing while the music was playing. Anyway, enough philosophy from me. Mental habits create suffering, rumination, perfectionism, resentment, and constant future-focused thinking can block contentment even when life is objectively stable. Yeah, we're not very good at appreciating the little things, are we? Like Dan and I today were in self-congratulatory mode, saying, we had a really successful trivia night, really successful interview yesterday. We've got to appreciate the little wins, man. The small wins are important. That is life at the end of the day. A collection of small wins. Modern life overstimulates dissatisfaction. Advertising and social media consistently reinforce the idea that happiness is elsewhere, making people overlook ordinary peace. Yeah. That is marketing, isn't it? What you have now is old and inferior because what we're selling you is new and improved. Again, a lot of bullshit, friends. Acceptance often brings relief faster than acquisition. Letting go of unrealistic expectations or internal resistance can create more happiness than gaining new possessions or milestones. And the final point here, in the pro column where 73% of people voted, children often display baseline contentment. Yeah, kids are a great mirror for what we would be when stress of modern life is removed. Before social conditioning and comparison intensify, people often experience joy more naturally and more directly. Without the infinite scroll of other people's Instagram photos showing how much better their life is than yours. And it's all a lie, let's face it. Before that, we were all a lot more happy, weren't we? A lot more content. Let's get into the cons, though. Los contras, where I think it was, 27% of people voted. Sorry, the vote is still live on Instagram, so people are continuing to offer their opinions there. So the cons, here we go. Saying that happiness is not simply being blocked. External conditions matter. Poverty, illness, trauma, discrimination, or instability are not mental barriers. Real circumstances deeply affect well-being. Like if you are suffering from an illness, that is not you blocking your happiness. If you are born in a war-torn country experiencing extreme poverty, you're being discriminated against, or your life is in an unstable moment, if there is instability in your life, these aren't blocks that you are placing upon yourself. Those are objective obstacles to your happiness, right? I mean, it's easy to say. It's easy to say here in the West where we're, in comparison, okay, I'm not going to say we're all rich, but in comparison to the extreme poverty that exists in the world, it's easy to say, oh my God, yeah, so we're just blocking our happiness. But there are places in the world where their happiness is blocked by external forces. I think you might agree. Brain chemistry plays a role. Mental health conditions such as depression can't always be resolved through mindset shifts alone. Now, I guess everyone falls in a spectrum here of how they believe depression kind of comes about and what it is, but just to make it clear, it is a chemical imbalance in the brain. It is a physiological issue that causes depression. That is not a choice. That is not you blocking your happiness or, Anyway, let's continue. Happiness isn't a default state. Humans evolved for survival, not constant happiness. Anxiety and dissatisfaction can be adaptive. Okay, next point. Growth often requires pursuit. Meaningful happiness may come from building relationships, purpose, or and accomplishment, not merely from removing external obstacles. I mean, if you think about an event in your life that gave you extreme happiness, like one of my happiest times, Dan, actually caused me to cry in public. It's when the first play that I wrote got 5 stars at the Edinburgh Festival, and I was sat there with the director of the play, and he was reading the review, and I just experienced this overwhelming joy, this idea that I was vindicated. It was just amazing. Now, all that work and effort that went into writing, performing that play, taking it up to Edinburgh, rallying the cast, creating a good atmosphere, a creative atmosphere, all that hard work wasn't me blocking anything. That was me pursuing a goal and achieving it. So the idea that happiness is simply blocked and not pursued may be a little naive. Whoa. Interesting. So that's today's unpopular opinion, folks. And I'm going to ask you to vote. Where do you vote? That's your question. Easy. Twitch.tv/professional bohemian. That's twitch.tv/professional Professional Bohemian. I will post the poll in the next minute so you guys can vote and give me your opinion. It's an interesting one today. And before we go to the break, I just want to tell you that the next Vaughan Radio Trivia Night, let's make it even bigger than mine, right? Let's make it even bigger than the last one. It is with the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Alberto Alonso, friends. Your friend and mine, the Don. Yeah, he's going to be with us hosting the next Trivia Night. Let me tell you, Alberto Alonso never disappoints. It's always a great time when Alberto hosts. When is it? The 2nd of June, friends. The 2nd of June, 8 p.m. at the Toast Tap Room in Malasaña. But right now, your job is, other than marking that on your calendar, is to answer this question. True or false? Happiness isn't something you find, it's something you are blocking. La felicidad no es algo que encuentras, es algo que estás bloqueando. True or false? All right, guys, do remember that number 911335833. It's a number that will help you improve your English, Spanish, German, any language you can imagine. You can learn that here at Grupo Vaughan. Guys, see you in a few minutes. Hey guys, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so on Patreon. That's patreon.com/professional bohemian. There you'll find VODs of the episodes as they are recorded live, blogs, vlogs, and behind-the-scenes content. If you'd like to watch the show live, you can do so on twitch.tv/professional bohemian, and you can participate in the polls we use in the show on Instagram @professional bohemian or Twitter @ProBoh, PROBOH. Okay, on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're joining us live at 9 a.m. Central European Time. Welcome. The poll is still live on our unpopular opinion. Happiness isn't something you find, it's something that is blocked. True or false? Again, many of you watching, few of you voting. Come on, friends. Come on. All right, if you did just tune in, what did we talk about today? A fascinating Guardian article, another one, talking about more philosophical take on AI, whether there is consciousness within the machine. Interesting, from an interesting source as well. Richard Dawkins, famously one of the new wave of atheists in the 90s. Richard Dawkins. Yeah, interesting article. Can we separate intelligence from consciousness? Is artificial intelligence artificial at all when that information comes from ourselves? Is language almost an operating system of thought? There's a lot of interesting philosophical takes on this. I did toy with the idea of doing a philosophical podcast about technology once, but I would bore you all to tears. Dan almost falls asleep when I start talking about AI, right, Dan?
No, that's not true.
But it was an interesting article. Of course, you'll find the link on my Patreon if you're kind enough to support me there. And then we moved on to our unpopular opinion today. Again, quite philosophical debate. Not that it's completely removed from science. Happiness isn't something you find, it's something you're blocking. The idea... I mean, a lot of you voted true on Instagram. It was in the region of 73% of you voting true. Yeah. And I think that kind of flies in the face of like real physiological conditions that can affect how happy you are. Like, let's look at a health condition such as depression. That can be resolved through a shift in mindset. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll just be happy. I'll tell you what, I'll just earn more. No, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain, folks. All right. So the argument or the idea that it's simply a shift in mindset, that just like going on vacation, when you remove problems, you're in a state of contentment. There is obviously a pretty good argument to be made against that idea. But then outside, and then again, it's hard to argue the fact that, that if we look at modern life, the comparisons we are constantly forced to make between other people's lives and our own, the role of marketing and advertising in society designed to make us feel less, so we consume, so we can feel normal, right? Keep consuming. If you're not consuming, you'll never be as happy as you could be. If you got zits, you won't get laid. Zits son granos. And getting laid, you can ask your mum and dad what that means. Advertising and marketing so ubiquitous in modern life, almost hard to think of a period of time where you're not being advertised or sold something, right? In this modern age. Designed to make us feel less. When we remove all those things, perhaps there is contentment there. There is a contentment we can find. Again, some of the poorest societies in the world today are also some of the happiest. Of course, you can also some of the richest. I mean, look at our Scandinavian neighbours constantly scoring quite high in happiness scales. Anyway, before I wax lyrical too much on this topic, do share your ideas on Twitch as well. I will be coming to your ideas shortly, my friends. What do you think, Dan? Have we shifted your needle at all today?
Not really, no.
No, you still pretty much a true on this one.
Yes.
And the argument with regards to, to like people who live in extreme poverty or in times of war, or, situations beyond their control where it's not a shift in mindset, that doesn't change your mind at all. Suppose you could make the argument, right? Those in themselves are blocks, right? If you live in extreme poverty or you live in a time of war, es una barrera. If you were removed from that situation, perhaps you could find contentment. So there is an argument to be made for true in that. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not here to strawman the idea of one idea or the other. What I'm looking for is your opinions. So Dan, with 2 feet firmly planted in the true column, just like our Instagram audience before the debate took place, they're at a 73. But what we're interested in is your ideas, friends. You've got 1 minute left to vote on the poll. tvitch.tv/professional bohemian profesional, pero en inglés. All right, let's turn our attention to some of our friends here in the chat. Okay, we have Vero first saying false. Finding happiness is not easy. You have to struggle to find it. A lot of people do. But can pop psychology be right about this? Can the advertising and marketing guys be right? That unless I buy the correct face cream to remove my wrinkles, I'm never going to be happy. If I don't get that promotion, I'm never going to be happy. If I don't have the perfect girlfriend, I'm not going to be happy. And of course, I'll never get that perfect girlfriend if I don't earn enough, right? And if I don't look right, do I really need my Turkish hair implants to feel fully realized as a human being? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure false is a compelling enough argument for me. But then again, we do talk about, or we have spoken about, that chemical imbalance. We've spoken about clinical depression and very much removed from choice, right? However, an argument can be made that the chemical imbalance is in itself a block, right? And if removed from the condition, the condition of depression, if removed from that condition, you would be content. So it's hard to argue with that. Bridge here says, true, go with the flow and happiness comes. You agree with that statement, right, Dan?
Well, not so much.
Not so much.
You don't have to go with you can go with the flow, but if there's something blocking it, it doesn't mean that's the solution.
Quite often going with the flow could lead to quite a bit of unhappiness, right? Bueno, yo voy donde me mandan, right? I mean, I think a big part of happiness is agency, right? When I say agency, I don't know what the translation of that is. Agencia when you're talking about advertising agency. But agency, the ability to control your own destiny, right, can create fertile ground for happiness. But I think happiness is a very elusive topic to talk about, right? Like, for example, here in the West, we equate choice with happiness, right? Something, again, we've covered on this show. The idea that the more choice we have, the more options we have, the happier we'll be. And quite often that's not true. Again, I've mentioned the book, The Paradox of Choice by Professor Barry Schwartz. And he argues that too much choice can be limiting, right? The more options you have, the more dissatisfied you are in the end with your eventual decision. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Really, do 1,000 types of salad dressing really enhance your life? 1,000,000 styles of blue jeans that you could potentially purchase? Does that really enhance your life? I mean, choice is a difficult one, isn't it? Because when it comes to freedom, I think choice is a virtue. But when it comes to a never-ending catalogue of products that are constantly thrown at us, and we're told that unless we purchase or subscribe to these choices, we're not going to be happy, I think that does inevitably lead to our unhappiness, right? So it's interesting. It's an elusive goal, is happiness. And perhaps the answer is so simple: removing ourselves from the barriers. Maybe the answer is that simple. Happiness for me is peace of mind, says The Bridge. Paz mental, in Spanish. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, again, I don't vacation often, but when I do, it tends to be somewhat adventurous, right? You guys who are with me on Patreon have seen my 23-day hike across the north of Spain. Jeez Louise, I was in a lot of pain, Dan. Slept very little. Agony most days. But boy, was I happy. Boy, was I happy. I had no emails to answer, no worries about paying rent. Everything was taken care of at home. All I had to do was walk. My only obligation was to find somewhere to sleep and eat a hearty meal so I had the energy the following day. And boy, friends, boy, was I happy. Removing the barriers that modern life presents us with can be a source of immense gratification, can't it? Peace of mind, paz mental. I like that. Can we get Bridge and ProBoh approved, please?
ProBoh approved.
Okay, let's have a look at our friends on Instagram. Lucien Martel writing to us again for the second time. Thank you, Lucien. Or Lucien, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. That's an interesting way to put it. A lot of people chase happiness externally while ignoring what's weighing them down internally. Maybe perhaps an interesting mental exercise for me is, was I happier before my therapy or after? It's interesting because I went for a very specific reason. But then that, as therapy does, expands and gets deeper and digs deeper into why you have certain destructive patterns, why you make certain destructive choices against your own best interests. I think I am happier after. Like a lot happier. Being more aware of the mental blocks I've placed upon myself has led to a freedom that I maybe haven't ever experienced before. Thank you, Lucien. That's an interesting one. I'll repeat his comment here. That's an interesting way to put it. A lot of people chase happiness externally while ignoring what's weighing them down internally. Again, I'm not one of these people who think everyone needs therapy. I don't think they do. In fact, we had a therapist in the studio with us once for a for a lunchtime show, and she agreed. It's not something that everybody needs to do. Anyway, Jade Cunningham says, I don't fully agree. Some people are genuinely in situations where happiness is hard to access, not just blocked. And then again, I read this comment down and I kind of find myself in a position where I kind of agree a little bit, right? I mean, if I were in the Ukraine right now, near the border, or near in the most perilous war-torn areas, would I be thinking, oh my God, if only I didn't have to go to work today, I'd be happy? Probably not. Probably not. Thank you, Jade. That's an interesting contribution. Nikita Orlov says, it feels true for things like stress, comparison, and overthinking. We create a lot of our own noise. Yeah, that's one of my problems. I don't know about you, Dan. Overthinking. Dude, something will pop into my head and I will tear it apart for hours and hours and hours, whether it's true or not. even if it's an invention of my own mind. Do you overthink, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Yeah. Who doesn't? Bianca Moretti says, maybe happiness is less about gaining something and more about removing what keeps pulling you away from it. Which is the essence of this unpopular opinion, right? Are we being pulled away from happiness by modern life and what modern life demands of us, our attention? You know, if removed from those obstacles, would we be in a state of contentment? Interesting debate, interesting philosophical discussion, which leads us to today's poll, doesn't it? So let's get into it, shall we? I made the statement, friends, that happiness isn't something you find, it's something that is blocked or that you are blocking. La felicidad no es algo que encuentras, es algo que estás bloqueando. True or false? You guys said... Incredibly, 75% said false. Rationally speaking, you can see why they come to that conclusion, right? You know, you think of the access we have to good healthcare, to housing, to the social safety nets we have here in Europe, and you think, maybe if things were just a little easier, if I had less demands on me, I'd be a lot more happy. I would experience happiness at a deeper level. But then, of course, like not every place in the world shares the access to help and to money and to opportunity like we do in the West, right? I mean, if you're in a war-torn country or a country plagued by disease or a society plagued by disease or all sorts of climactic events that happen right now, we're going to enter hurricane season soon. Are those people blocking their happiness, or is it that their house is just blown down with all their belongings inside, and that is just a damn sad event, right? Maybe it is a bit naive of us to say, no, you could be happy if you just remove yourself from problems. Perhaps happiness is maybe a little more complex a picture than that. But hell, what do I know? As Grandpa Bo would say, all these, friends, these are just opinions, and opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has one, they all stink, including mine. Let's move on to today's 100 Humans. Whew, that was a good one today. Thank you, friends. All right, let's get into today's 100 Humans. Why? Well, because it was a long walk to work today, friends, across snow-capped mountains and through river valleys. And on that walk, I encountered 100 humans, and I asked them all a question. That question was, name something. Nombra algo. Name something that stops you from being happy. Nombra algo que te impide ser feliz. That's today's unpopular opinion, friends. Name something that stops you from being happy. Big thank you to, wow, look, again, if you're watching the screen, look at the infinite scroll. It's a lot of you contributing today. I really, really do appreciate that. Carlos, Juan Arreo, Pedro, Faith Dent Art, Tigre Devil, Nuriagar, Javier, Emily, Fine Watchmaking, Pilar, that's all folks, Mushki, Athul Dan, Carmen, Noel, should I stop there? I should stop there. Gemma Racino, Ivan Samrov, Elena Brochetta, Ivan GP, Anna Kasan, Mia. Okay, we'll stop there. It's just I feel bad, Dan. If I don't read out all the names, I feel like a bad guy. If I didn't read out your name, it's not because I don't love you. You know what Dan suggested? He suggested we do a countdown timer, and I only read names up until the end of the timer. I think that's a good idea, Dan. All right, let's start off, shall we? We will start as we usually do with our little guru here in the box. Dan, name something that stops you from being happy.
Your surroundings.
Do you want to be more specific?
The people that you are surrounded by.
So maybe your relationships, right?
Your relationships.
your relationships. Not to prompt you, but yeah, thank you. Is relationships there? Relaciones. Yes, it is, Daniel. Well done, sir. Our little Buddha there in the chat. Well, thank you, Dan. It's a good one. 6 of 100 humans said relationships. It's in 7th place. Well done. That was a tough one, actually. You actually nailed the hardest one to identify, I think. Personal circumstances, says Vero. You have to be more specific. You have to be more specific than personal circumstances. I mean, everything on the list is a personal circumstance, including a relationship, right? I'll tell you what, let's dive into our friends on Instagram and see what they had to say. Juan Oreo said his mother-in-law. Su suegra. His mother-in-law there. Well, that kind of falls under relationships, doesn't it? Expectations, says Carlos. Carlos, okay, I'll give you guys a clue. Expectations, thinking about the future causes blank. They say thinking about the past, concentrating on the past causes depression. Concentrating on the future causes blank. But what is that blank? See, I'll prompt you all. Let's see. Too much work, says Nuriagar. Also, Javier says work. A bunch of you saying work, actually, here in the chat. Athuldan, yeah, a lot of you saying work. Is work there? Trabajo. Yes, it is. Well done, friends. 13 of 100 humans said work. Yourself, says Mushki. Good answer. But what about yourself? What about yourself? Okay, capitalism, says Faith Dent. Oh my god, you guys are on fire. Tigre Devil, not accepting exactly where I should be. I think that falls under expectations, right? Thank you, Tigre Devil, for that. Selfishness, says Pedro from Instagram. Greed, says he says as well. A lot of great answers here. Too much work addiction. Fine watchmaking, says Donald Trump. Very specific. I love that. All of those great answers, but none of them there. Wah, wah, wah. Vero in the chat, as well as Pilar, that's all folks, on Instagram, say stress. Is stress there? El stress. Yes, it is. Well done. Well done. Stress is there. 33 of 100 humans said stress. Okay, let's continue on here. Work, addiction, Donald Trump, stress, yourself. Fear, says Athuldan. Fear. It's a great answer. Can't give it to you, though. Problems, says Elena. Good answer. Any kind of pain, says Ivan GP. Pain is an interesting one, isn't it? Could be caused, just in the interest of moving this along. Dan laughs when I draw these tenuous links. You know, when I'm in pain, Dan, usually it's because I'm experiencing some kind of a health issue. Is health issues there? Yeah, I know, Dan, I know. Yes, it is. Well done. Problemas de salud. Look, Dan, I want these guys to win every day. Don't judge me. 12 of 100 humans said health issues, so well done, kind of, to our friend Ivan GP. Health issues is there. 12 of 100 humans, the 4th most popular answer. Any kind of pain, any serious health issues, says Anna Kassan, which is what it was, so well done, Anna, as well. Mia says, oh, this is a good one. Mia says money. Money. Well, money itself doesn't really impede you from happiness. Maybe a lack of money. Money problems. Problemas de dinero. Is money problems there? Yes, it is. Okay, friends in the audience and Dan. So depression is a constant focus on the past, and blank is a constant focus on the future. Do you know what that blank is, Dan?
I was going to say stress, but someone said stress.
Yeah, Vero said stress. It's closely related to stress.
Overthinking?
Very closely related. Maybe even a symptom of what I'm talking about. Begins with an A. And
I don't know.
Oh, damn. And then the next answer that you haven't gotten is an epidemic we've spoken about the world over. What is it? Everyone is feeling...
Anxiety?
Anxiety, Dan. Give yourself a round of applause. Well done, well done. Okay. Anxiety is there. 7 of 100 humans said anxiety. And number 7 on the list was relationships. If you don't have any relationships, though, you might suffer from the 5th most popular answer. What do you think it is, Daniel?
Loneliness.
Loneliness, Dan. Well done. Sorry, I'm sure those answers are in Instagram. I can only do so much scrolling, though, friends. Dan, well done to you, sir. You have completed today's 100 humans. Jeezy Louise, friends, 2 days in a row. Let's go through the list. I asked 100 humans to name something that stops you from being happy. In position number 7, we had relationships, relaciones. In position number 6, anxiety, ansiedad. How many people? 7 of 100 humans said that. In position number 5, loneliness, soledad. Loneliness, 10 of 100 humans. In position number 4, problemas de salud, health issues. Well done, Vero, who also said solitude, by the way. Health issues was there. In position number 3, 13 of 100 humans said work, trabajo, work. In position number 2, we had problemas de dinero, money problems. Problemas de dinero, 18 of 100 humans saying that one. And finally, in position number 1, with 33 of 100 humans, well done to Vero, it was stress. El estrés. Well done, friends. Okay, guys, I will be leaving you now, but I'll be back this afternoon at 1:30 for another edition of the Lunchtime Show. Just a quick reminder about the next Vaughan Radio Night. I'm sure right now you have your phones out, already navigating to your calendar. Well, mark this down. The 5th of May at 8 p.m. Toast Taproom, Malasaña, Calle San Vicente Ferrer, number 33, hosted by the one and only man, myth, legend, Alberto Alonso, friends, on the 2nd of June. Did I say 5th of May, Dan? I think I might have. On the 2nd of June, the Vaughan Radio Trivia Night, the next one. It'll be a big one, probably the one that closes the trivia for the summer, so don't miss it. It's your last opportunity, perhaps, to get together and play our quiz. Guys, I'll see you this afternoon.